Okay. So, in this session, we're going to talk about one of our learning technologies, Proctorio, as a way to deter AI use on exams. So, some of you may have run into this where students can access browser extensions that use AI and can use that when taking quizzes and such in Canvas. We do have ways to lock that down to try and prevent them from doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and show you Proctorio and how we can use it for that purpose. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me find the right one. There we go. So I have a sample Proctorio quiz already set up, and we'll look at it in a minute. First, I'm going to walk you through how you would go about creating one of these. So there's a couple steps you need to do before you use Proctorio for the first time if you haven't used it before. So the first is adding Secure Exam Proctor Proctorio to your navigation. So we see I've already got it. What you would do to add it to navigation is go to Settings, come up to the Navigation tab, and then see where it's already up here for me. For those of you who haven't used it or haven't activated it in a course, it would be down here in the disabled area. So you could either click and drag it up, or you could use the three dots and push enable. And then once it's up in this list, you just scroll down to the bottom of the screen and push save. Um, and that adds it to navigation. So that's the first thing you've got to do. Next, you've got to make sure that you are using Google Chrome. You can use Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, or the Brave browser. We recommend Chrome, but if you prefer either of the others, it works reliably in those as well. So make sure you're using one of those browsers. And then what you'll do is once you're in that browser, click on the Secure Exam Proctor, Proctorio, and Navigation. It's going to check to make sure you're in one of those browsers. So it sees I'm already in Google Chrome. And then it's going to check for the browser extension. So I actually stopped sharing my screen for a moment so I could remove it. Um, so what you'll do is click on that link to get the Proctorio extension. And then click here to install the extension and add it to Chrome and add extension. Okay, and it says that it has been added to Chrome, so I don't need those tabs anymore. And we see Secure Exam Proctor plugin has been successfully installed, so I can return to the course. So now what I'm going to do is just go create a quiz. And when I create a quiz, um, you'll configure all this stuff up top like you normally would. Add in whatever instructions, the name of the quiz, your questions, um, tie it to an assignment group, decide if you're going to shuffle answers. You will need a time limit for Proctorio, so I'm just going to go ahead and assign a 15-minute time limit. Decide if you want multiple attempts, etc. Underneath, filter IP addresses, you'll see this is now active. If you don't see this, it probably means either your extension is not installed properly or you're not in the right browser. So we will check Enable Proctorio Secure Exam Proctor. When I do that, you're going to notice that this requiring an access code changes as well. So I'm going to check that. And we see that a gray check mark has been added here. there's a required access code. I can't change anything about it. So Proctorio is now managing that on the back end. Students don't see an access code, but essentially Proctorio has placed one on it and will enter that for the student. They don't even know it's happening, but that is what manages access. And then you just kind of configure the rest of this. So go ahead and give it your due date, your available from and until dates, and then you're done with this page. So scroll back up. Something else that you will see if you have the correct browser and the browser extension installed properly are your Proctorio settings. And this is where we can do some things to try and prevent that AI use. So it's going to open up and it's going to ask you to configure Proctorio exam settings and then behavior settings. So exam settings, you set them once, and then once students start taking them, you can't change them again. So we got to make sure we get these right from the get-go. Behavior settings, you can go ahead and set them, but they can be changed later. That's not a big deal. So let's go ahead and look at our exam settings. By default, we have it set to record video, screen, and web traffic. You can turn those on or off as you wish. For what we're dealing with, I would leave them turned on. I would record video, record screen, and record web traffic. Audio, it's up to you and your discipline and what's appropriate, but I don't see a lot of people use audio. Desk, we don't see people use. That is, it would have the student kind of pick up their camera and scan their desk and their surrounding area, either at the start or periodically throughout the exam. Like I said, not a lot of people use that. It can be kind of disruptive and clunky. So we typically see people leave that off. Lockdown options. This is where you're going to define behavior that's really going to lock down what they can access. Forcing full screen is the best way to prevent them from accessing um, other tabs, other tools, softwares they may have installed on their computer. So what Force Full Screen does is it sets it to where the exam literally takes up the entire screen. They can't make it any smaller. They can't try and navigate away from it. We recommend using the moderate setting, meaning if they try and navigate away from it, they've got 15 seconds to get back to it or the session ends. Severe, we don't recommend doing just because you never know when there's going to be a tech issue. Maybe there's like a dialog box that comes up and they've got to clear that out and that confuses the system. And then you've knocked a student out of an exam unnecessarily. So we recommend the 15-second setting here if you're going to force full screen. Now, I will say that I was working with a faculty member a couple weeks ago, and they wanted to force full screen, but they also wanted students to be able to access their e-text as they completed the exam. Unfortunately, you can't do that. This literally locks the experience down to where they can only access that quiz in Canvas. So if you require additional materials or if it's an open book test, forcing full screen is not going to be appropriate. Um, Only one screen. We recommend turning that on. Proctorio is only able to record one screen at a time. So if they're using a second monitor, it's not recording that. So you're not seeing that. No new tabs. If you're doing the full screen lockdown, it's automatically going to turn that on. It has to. You can't access new tabs. It's also going to close any open tabs that the student has so that they're not accessing anything that they're not supposed to access. Disable printing, so that means that they can't, for example, hit Control or Command P and print the exam. Um, disable clipboard, that means they can't highlight and copy and paste something. Disable extensions is another important one. So there are a number of AI-based extensions out there that students can install to the browser. And what it can do is just read the screen and then provide information based on what it read from the screen. So um, disabling extensions will also help you out because it's going to prevent them from being able to use those browser-based extensions. Block downloads just means that they can't save anything that's in the exam, clearing the cache. So anything that may be stuck in the computer memory is cleared out. Disable right click. So that keeps them from accessing all of these options. So for example, some tools will include AI-based tools in their right click menus. So definitely disable right click. And then prevent reentry, I recommend leaving that turned off because if there's a tech issue and for some reason the student gets knocked out, say the internet glitches or something, their laptop dies because it's not plugged in, um, that would make it to where the student can't re-enter the exam, and we want them to just be able to come back in if they have faced an issue like that. So that's really where the magic happens. You can also do verification options here where you can verify video. So that just makes sure that the video is recording properly and that the student is in frame. Audio, if you are recording audio. Desktop, just make sure that it's recording the desktop and that it can see what's happening on the desktop. Verify ID. You can do this. As most of you probably know, we've switched over as a university to the digital IDs, like this. So it has a photo on it. It is a photo ID, but Proctorio looks for, we'll just use like this post-it note. They look for like an ID shaped thing, like a physical object ID, and not this digital one. So it can be really difficult for students to like try and get Proctorio to accept the input of the ID. So we recommend that you don't turn this on unless you absolutely, absolutely need to, um, just because that can be a little cumbersome for students. Signature and login, I don't think I've ever seen anybody use those, but they're there. For in-quiz tools, you can choose to allow them to have a calculator or a whiteboard if you want during the exam. And that kind of defines the extent of the exam settings. We'll look at behavior settings in just a second, but these are the things that once you set them and a student takes the exam, you can't go back and change them. So I'll pause there before we look at behavior settings and see if anybody has any questions or wants to look at any of these in any more detail.
I have one question with respect to verify login. If I
Mm-hmm.
if I enforce this verify login,
Mm-hmm.
can they only so if they log in from one computer, if another computer also is on the side, can they also log in through that?
Um,
Because I want them to only use one computer and not use another computer as like for searching or verifying other contents. So like
yeah, but the login just has it enter that password that we saw earlier,
okay.
where it kind of graded out and it started managing that. So it just kind of makes it enter that for the student.
Okay.
Um, they
Can they enter from another computer as well at the same time when they are already logged into this exam?
No, they can't open two sessions at the same time of the
Oh, okay.
exam.
Using the verify login,
No,
right?
well, just period. If
Oh,
it's
okay.
in Proctorio,
Okay,
they
okay, yes.
can
Okay.
only launch one live Proctorio session at a time.
Oh, all right. Oh, thank you. That was my question.
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
Heather, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So if you have a force full screen moderate,
hmm
but you don't have the prevent reentry
hmm
and something pops up, so they have 15 seconds to go back to the exam or whatever. How
hmm
would you know in the report that that happened? Like how will it show in the recording that that happened? Like what would you see? Okay, the screen. Never mind.
Yeah, that, and it'll say, like, if you're asking, like, if it ended the attempt because it took them more than 15 seconds to get back. Is that what
Yeah,
you're
how would you know that happened? Like, mm, I
Yes.
get the screen, like the recording of the screen, but
Yeah, it'll also say at the top, attempt ended when, and it might say like student did not return to full screen mode or something. It'll give you some reason for why the attempt ended. So, if we've got time here in a little bit, I'll show you one of my recordings, and it says attempt ended when student submitted exam or when student submitted quiz. So it tells you like what prompted the session end. So it'll give you that information too.
thank you.
Okay. We'll go ahead and look at behavior settings now. So behavior settings, these just kind of dictate what gets flagged as maybe a serious offense or not serious offense, kind of as it reviews the video. So an algorithm will review the video and say, hey, we saw this behavior. You said this behavior is a big deal, so it gets a red flag. So I'm going to highlight that as being like a red flag offense. So you get to define those things. So it gives you recommended settings. You can also just kind of click through these and see down here how things change. So the options are navigating away, keystrokes, if there's like odd keystrokes that the student starts doing, if they try to copy and paste, resize the browser, um, abnormal head movement, multiple faces in the screen, leaving the room. This is locked right now by the admin just because it's a beta feature. Um, and they can't verify that it's going to work all the time. So we just locked it. But we may be unlocking that in the future. Troy's going to look into it. So as you kind of click through these, you can see how it changes based on the different options. If one of those doesn't work for you, you can just go in and manipulate it yourself. So if you're like, navigating away is a big deal, you shouldn't be leaving the testing environment. You can flag it as red. Copy and paste, red. Maybe I'm not so worried about keystrokes. Maybe I'm not worried about browser resize or head movement or multiple faces. Then maybe I'll leave those as green. It's just up to you and the context of the exam. So you just set those. And then once you have the exam set up, you can save it. So it's also going to record abnormalities for you, and you can indicate which ones you want it to look at. And so these abnormalities are based on um, it's statistical significance. So if you have a certain number of students take the exam, it's going to look and see if like the normal behavior for navigating away, the normal behavior for keystrokes, copy paste, and say, okay, this is the baseline. And then if somebody does something that is statistically significant, like more than navigating away, it's going to flag it and say, this one navigated away way more than the other students. This one copy and pasted more than the other students. You can turn those on so that it can check it for you. And those are all your options. Navigating away, keystrokes, copy paste, browser resize, mouse movement, scrolling, clicking, head movement, leaving the room, multiple faces. You can turn them off or on, just depending on what's important to you. And it's also going to record exam duration, start times, end times, any perceived exam collusion, it'll note as well. And then we'll save it. So once you have created it and students have completed it based on those settings that you set up, you can go in. Somebody really should get that. Here's one that I created, and then I went in as a student and tried to do some fishy stuff so I can show you how it flags certain things. Now, in this one, I did not force the browser to be full screen, and I'm going to show you why that is important so that you can kind of get an idea of what you may or may not want to do. So once you have students who have submitted it, you just go to the exam or the quiz, and then on the right-hand side, you'll see Proctorio Review Center. If you click that, you're accessing your Proctorio gradebook. Now, right now, you'll see that it has suspicion levels here in the second to last column. Got a 19% and a 16%. That's based on those behavior settings. I can, like I said, change those behavior settings. So let's say I'm looking at it and I decide that navigating away is a big deal, but maybe head movement, like everybody's got, I don't know, a sore neck or something. So they all keep cracking their neck during the exam. So I don't want it to flag that because that's, I don't want to see that 100 times. You can just update those right on the fly. You can update these abnormalities right on the fly if you need to. And then go back to the review center. And we're going to see that 19 and 16%, when I changed navigating away to be a red flag, we're up to 48 and 44%. So it just quickly adapts to your changes. We also see here in the alerts that we have a few different icons. One of them for this first instance is navigated away, copy paste detected, and tab unfocused detected. So I also did not disallow copy paste for this particular exam, just so I could show you some stuff. So now I'll click on it. We see my recording on the left, the video recording, and then my screen recording on the right. And down here at the bottom, you see every time that it has flagged something that it thinks I want to look at based on my behavior settings. So right here, I know because I did it. This is pasted. I pasted in material. So it's recognizing that I copy and pasted. That's a red flag. Through here, it's recognizing that I was trying to navigate away. Here, I navigated away. The tab was unfocused, meaning I didn't have the browser active. I wasn't actively on the quiz. I was actually in Microsoft Word. So you can just kind of go in, look at flags if you want to. I don't recommend doing this, but if you guys have nothing better to do, you can watch the whole exam. You can do it up to 4x speed and watch the whole thing. So one of the reasons I didn't disallow copy paste and I didn't force full screen here is I wanted to show you this. So, one of the questions on this exam, and I apologize because it's kind of grainy, is an essay. And what I did was I took that and I opened up Word, and let's see. I deleted what was in Word already. And then I right clicked. So disallow right click. And you probably cannot read that because it's very grainy, but it says writing tools. And then I went over, that says compose. And then I just typed in the question, but I could have just copy and pasted the question in right there. And AI is like, oh, looky, here's your answer. And then I just copied it. There's a little copy button there and pasted it right into the exam. So by enforcing the full screen like that, you are preventing them from being able to do that. By disallowing copy paste, you are disallowing them from doing that. And by disallowing right click, you're also trying to prevent that. Proctorio is also developing a companion app that will run on the computer itself to also keep them from being able to access softwares and such on the computer that you don't want them to access. So that that is my recommendation for trying to address use of AI in quizzes. Any questions? Anything you want to see?
And if I'm correct, if someone does that, because I have seen in other places that it shows the icon of AI. If someone's actually use AI under the alerts, I think it shows like an AI icon if someone uses AI.
Yeah, so it depends on the tool they use.
Mm.
And Jorge, to your question earlier, you see right here it says the attempt ended when the test taker submitted the exam. So if that issue happened earlier, it would give you a different alert here so that you knew why the session ended.
Heather, have you found that is there a way to like set the settings of the quiz so that they're taking a pool of questions? So like let's say you develop the quiz with 100 questions and they only have to take 20. Have you found that that is helpful to prevent cheating too? Because every test taker is going to take different questions. I mean, they might get
Yeah.
different questions. So it's not like everybody in the class is going to get the same exact questions. And
Yeah,
how would
I
you
mean,
set that up?
yeah, that certainly helps. So you can do that. Let me get out of my Proctorio Center. You can, when you're editing, go to questions. And I just had two questions on this. You can create question groups. So let's say you're like, I want them to have, I don't know, 5 multiple choice or 5 true false and 10 multiple choice or something. So you can true false, or if you just want it all to be multiple choice, you can just create the group. You then stipulate here, pick however many questions. So let's say you had, 50 questions right here, but you only wanted to choose 5 of them. And then assign this many points per question. And then you have that group and you can just drag questions into that group so that it's using it as a pool or a
Okay.
pool. Yeah. instead of just giving everybody the same question. You just create those groups and then tell it how many to pick from the group.
Okay, thanks.
Uh-huh. Other questions or about Proctorio or other things? Everybody having a post-lunch nap? No. Okay. That's fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.